right now. Tuambie unatazama kutoka wapi. Let me know where you're watching us from this morning. I'll be coming in shortly to check your comments and also nione mnaweza kutazama kutoka wapi. Lakini kama kawaida lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe. And when we come back we get to know who is watching us from where and where you're watching us from this morning. Haya, tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe. Mighty Father, come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive this morning. Even thank you for this conversation as we are going to have it. May it edify the fabric of this country. Even every tackle that's joining us this morning, may you meet them at the point of individual needs. For we pray, trusting and believing. Amen and amen. Haya. Ni mwana wangu ameweza kuamka mapema haraka upesi. I'm seeing Ernest Lagat is already hapa. Asante sana, good morning. Naona nani mwingine hapa. Ernest Lagat, good morning. Michael Sam, Asan, good morning. Ernest Lagat, Jogoro, Nairobi. Let me know where you're watching us from this morning. Daniel Skipkwe, good morning. GB watching from Eldoret Town. Asante sana watu wa Sisibo. Mwingine hapa ameweza kuamka mapema Ngware. Kiblaga Tarambano anasema morning GB live watching from Eldoret Marura. Daniel, good morning. Ernest Lagat, Jogoro, Buma representative. Asante sana watu wa Burma. Ulisema unatuletea nyama. I don't know what happened to nyama yetu watu wa Buma. Haya, kidogo let me know where you're watching us from this morning. Lakini tuangalie hali ya traffic kidogo. Traffic inakaaje? Your roads looking like? Okay. Looking at Mombasa Road, it's not looking really bad. There's some little traffic on Uru Highway, kidogo at the exchange. On the roundabout, El Salazar roundabout, Bunyala roundabout, looks a bit crazy. There's some little traffic on Aerodrome. This behind the Nyayo Stadium, as people are trying, to escape from the main route. Some little traffic on Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Mombasa Road is looking pretty clear. Nothing to really worry about on Mombasa Road except at the General Motors kidogo imeshikana pale, I think kwa sababu ya stage ya matatu. Pale interchange ya City Cabanas not looking very bad, a bit clear as well. All right, Mombasa Road today is quite clear. Southern pass very clear. Langata Road is crazy as usual all the way from where? All the way from Uru Gardens. Jamilanzia pale Uru Gardens, actually at the exchange at the bypass. At the bypass exchange traffic inaanzia hapo kidogo, the difference pale imeshikana kidogo. 18 imeshika kushika all the way to the Timol roundabout, and it has to do with the construction that is ongoing hapo Timol roundabout. So, well, until that is done, I think Mombasa Road will continue being crazy. So if you want to access the CBD, then you better avoid Langata Road. You can use Ngong Road, you can use the current South Road, then we get pale Karen Center, we get Ngong Road, basi unaweza kupika CBD, unafika CBD kwa njia rahisi zaidi. Mbagathi Way is very clear as well. Some little traffic at the exchange at the Ngong Road roundabout heading towards Kenyatta Hospital imeshikana kidogo. Roundabout at Ngong Road heading towards Alingam Total, it's quite imeshikana bumper to bumper all the way at that exchange. Agwins Kodek looks pretty clear. Yeah, very clear. Nothing to really worry about. On Ring Road Kilimani, some little traffic at the Lanana Road roundabout, towards the Lanana Road roundabout coming from Kileleshwa. Kileleshwa today is pretty clear, very clear. Apart from jam kidogo pale Recording Road as you are climbing up that Kahil. Ukikuja towards Dennis Street. Okay, Kileleshwa roundabout looks crazy. Looks a bit crazy coming in all the way from Kasuku Center. Imeshikana kidogo towards the roundabout. Aloitoktok Road looks a bit crazy from Quickmart going down to the Kileleshwa roundabout. Doesn't look very good. And also coming in from coming in from Thangari Road towards Total Kileleshwa roundabout. Looks a bit crazy. Imeshikana kushikana. So if you want to access that side towards Kileleshwa, you can use either way Mzima Springs Road wendo tokea pale nyuma, ama uweze kutumia the Mthangari drive towards Lavington Mall na uweza kutumia the other side of the road. Kithanga Road looks very clear this morning. Nothing to worry about on Kithanga Road. And the Quickmart kumekaa kuzuri zaidi. As usual, junction Kingara Road towards Gecko, towards the interchange, the Kithanga Road interchange looks a bit crazy. Towards the junction looks bad all the way from junction kupanda juu the exchange for Kingara Road inakaa mbaya zaidi. Nevasha Road looks a bit crazy as well. So if you can avoid that route, the better for you. Ngong Road heading towards the junction roundabout looks a bit crazy all the way from Lexo petrol station. Akukai vizuri sana. So but it's moving, pretty moving. It's not really bad. Watu wa Thika Road, Thika Road mambo vipi? I think you're having a struggle there on Thika Road. Let me check it out. Thika Road looks a bit crazy all the way from Allsops kutaramuka chini KCA University imeshikana kushikana heading towards Mathare Hospital and the exchange, the Muthaiga Road exchange looks a bit crazy as well towards that side, but heading towards the CBD looks a bit clear. Watu wa Kiambu Road ni kubaya kidogo. Kiambu Road is not looking pretty good. Kiambu Road all the way from Ridgeways, Total Ridgeways doesn't look pretty good. So if you can use another route, the better for you. From DCI pale kidogo inaanza kufunguka, lakini haikai mbaya sana. From DCI actually imeanza kushikana. From Ridgeways is a bit clear, lakini kuanzia DCI pale inakuwa bamba to bamba towards the Muthaiga exchange. All right, that's on it for you on traffic. Let me know where you're watching us from and what the traffic is looking like. Nairobi pia baridi ni noma zaidi, lakini imeweza kutulia asubuhi ya leo. Sio mbaya sana baridi, lakini sio mbaya zaidi. So please, when you like, we get to know that you're watching us, and after like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to wear the broadcast. This is the State of the Nation edition, the tackle of 28th of June 2022, and it begins right now. Tuko na Mheshimiwa Honorable Wilson Sossion, na atatuanzia day he'll be helping us unpack the education charter by Kenya Kwanza. Next week tumesema tumaita watu wazimie pia watuambie ni agenda gani ambao wako kwenye masomo ama education. All right, for many years we've attempted to reform the education sector from different formulas and standards to now we are at CBC. There've been a lot of cries as well on the cost of CBC and also the cost of running it and also the absorption thereof. Okay, tuangalie magazeti haraka upesi. Hii gazeti ambayo tunaanza nayo sasa ni gazeti gani ambao ipo pale? Tunaanza na gazeti ya Daily Nation. Inasema Wash Was Paradise. Wash Was Paradise, that is Kenya for you. Wash Was Paradise, the Daily Nation. Wash Was Paradise. Speaking about Kenya, there is, na inasema inside the murky world of investment fraudsters and fake gold merchants, okay, money, power, and sleaze, the allure of quick riches, fame, and fortune is making Kenya one huge crime scene where hoodlums with the right connections launder billions from illegal enterprises such as trade in narcotics, gun running, and fake gold. Inside our runaway organized crime is chipping away on Kenya's democratic credentials as it funds a new crop of delinquent leaders to run for top offices. Okay, 32 billion. Have been folded. They are the most infamous fake dollar racket involved in sum of 32 billion found in a house in I think it should be in Ruiru, okay, outside Nairobi. 32 billion, okay. Dementia, the man who spoke to Jesus and Pop, all right. Rivertex blames poor cotton supply as it revamps to red, okay. Mambo ndio hiyo as it is, okay. On the standard. The standard, what do we have on the standard? On the standard, it's that phone data links root at witness bribery. Closing arguments. Judges told there is enough evidence linking lawyer Paul Kisheru to witness tampering meant to benefit DP William Ruto as ICC prosecution examines 10 other associates in the alleged scheme. Okay, deal that ended fight for Fidel Odinga wealth. NASA's finally get lucrative UK jobs. It is a very interesting one I would like us to begin with shortly. Mombasa City set to regain island status. Okay, mambo ya ICC pale is still going on and Gisheru is on the dock and he has requested the ICC to protect his family. I don't know from what. DP all stop KEMSA monopoly and split NHIF. High cost of living sparks protest for higher pay. Right, mambo ambayo inaendelea nchi zingine. Wandani wa Ruto wamsaliti, that is on Taifa Leo. Nasemekana ya kwamba the friends, those allies, DP's allies have been campaigning for Raila Odinga's candidates. Baadhi ya wanasiasa waliotegemea kuongoza kampeni zake sasa wampigia debe wagombea wa Azimio. Okay, nambari ya simu ya Ruto yatajwa ICC. Upande wa mashtaka wasema simu yake nimo kwenye ushahidi. Man United yamkatalia Maguire. Okay, klabu yakataa kumwachilia na wadha wake kujiunga na Barcelona. Okay, matumaini ya soko la miraa, mambo ya miraa pale. Business Daily, CMA probes Unilever deals in Kenya tea farm. Foreign woman Kenya's linked to 2.3 billion overseas card fraud. Wa Kenya. Okay, mambo ndio hayo. Nairobi now eyes cheaper fuels from Saudi Arabia. High cost of living at the center of Raila Ruto battle, that is on the Star, on today's Star. DP blames Raila and President Kenyatta. Okay, President Kenyatta for skyrocketing food prices. Mambo ndio hayo pale, and mambo ya vaccetomy pale pia. On the People Daily, Raila men defy calls to pull out. You're saying there pale Jirongo, ona pale mzee pia wa huko wa Kisii. You're saying bahati tena. Mambo yamegeukia jana when Azimio and that is ODM and Jubilee settled on Oluwach as the Azimio's ticket flag bearer. Okay, mambo ndio hayo on the newspapers today, this morning, on the headlines this morning. Naona Daniel good morning. Matelong Jola Arabet from Wajir County, Santa Kimdod Jepto, good morning. Gideon, good morning bro. Mheshimiwa Sossion should be super nominated MP. It articulates his issues proper and has never been intimidated. Good work sir, and thanks for hosting me. Asante sana. Kim Victor, good morning. Kiongozi mwana tune David Mary, Kagamega, watu wa Kagamega, asante sana. Onyuma Denson from Machakos, Wycliffe Asuma from Embakasi, Jai Esther, asante sana. Kilimo Timothy Rotich, good morning from Wayaki Way. Bowen watching from Transoia, salam to Sossion, such a great labor movement champion, my teacher and friend. Asante. Mikal Sam, good morning GB, watching from Solai, Nakuru. Kevin Kibata, good morning GB from Elgeyo Marakwet, Source, live watching from Doha. Joash Lele, Chief Cap Chorwa location, Nandi Hills, asante. Enoch, I wish Mr. Sossion all the best. He was teacher champion. Delocalization of teachers is biting in this threatening economy. Collins Kimtai Kipsan Moiben following asante sana tuangombe. MC Kalia, good morning, watching from Menokwisha Thika branch. Allah, okay. Karaoke Francis, good morning. Bito from Evasha, Kimugolimo following live from Melbourne. Looking forward to hearing from Honorable Sossion on matters education. Shatter as illustrated in Kenya Kwanza manifesto. Keep it Gerald Bito, you are doing a great job. Asante sana. Chicks Mburu, good morning. Gerald Salimia, Mr. Sossion. Ishmael Mohamed Noor, good morning from Wajia. Asante Kimura PK, getting you live and clear from Garissa Mandera Highway. Huku barabara ni clear. Hajab 120 to 140 kilometers. Asante sana. Good morning team Taklaz. I'm waiting to sip knowledge from educationist Sossion. Let him enlighten us more about CBC. Be honest Ndiema, the real leadership for the people and by the people. Kudos, Giblaga Jekiru, good morning. We talk live from Ongata Rongai. Meiri, morning live from Westlands. Robert Sogom, good morning. JB watching issue is Thai, okay. Anyway, morning we talk to go on. Kingston, Ambitious, Zima, Man, logged in. Asante sana. Thank you for joining us this morning. And send in any questions that you have regarding the education sector, especially the proposals that have been floated by Kenya Kwanza coalition on the education matters from the CBC all the way to reforming it and ensuring that it becomes better. That's what they've said. Good morning to you, Mheshimiwa.
Yeah, good morning.
I hope you're doing well.
Good morning, our listeners and viewers, wherever they will be, whatever they are.
You're coming
in this world.
Be a good morning. All right, your camera is just right ahead of you. You can say hello to this, ladies and gentlemen that are watching you and listening to you this morning.
Yes, it's a pleasure for me to be in your show this morning to discuss particularly the education charter for Kenya Kwanza, which I think in any election event in Africa, within the education sector, this, I would call it a masterpiece.
Oh, is it?
Because it has been well negotiated over a period of 4 months. I've been in labor negotiations. I've negotiated items and benefits for teachers. But I think this is one of the best negotiations I've engaged in. And I don't think anywhere in Africa a presidential candidate has signed a charter with a sector or even to commit a sector. Yeah, with the provisions and the content and the promises therein in the charter, complete with the signature of the presidential candidate.
Wow.
Then it means the moment William Samoei Ruto is sworn in as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, this charter automatically converts into a mandatory government policy that government will implement. So to me, it's good news. And teachers out there, parents out there, students out there have the best opportunity. I've done global campaigns for quality public education in all continents of the world. And I think in this charter, it answers to all what we have been campaigning for globally. Kenya under Kenya Kwanza will be an interesting country to watch because it has committed all what it takes to deliver quality public education for all our boys and girls in our education system and our students in the university. And there's no doubt the outcomes out of this charter, because commitments, once implemented, must always deliver results. I am sure this is going to stimulate the economic growth and particularly the bottom-up economic model, which is about social equality. Bottom-up actually is about equality. It is about mobility of people from the bottom of the pyramid. And you know the pyramid of
it looks like
3 levels. Yeah, at the top, you have very few elitists, the top class, the rich, the conservatives, the ones who control politics, the ones who control business, the ones who consume all the taxes and trickle very little to the people at the bottom. Then the middle class, who are the working class, you and me, in this country. And then we have the majority bottom, and in this country, the bottom base of the pyramid are the poorest people in the society. And therefore, this education charter is going to free everybody at the bottom, free our households, so that education is accessible by all equitably and of good quality. It will not matter whether you have money or you don't have money. Your children will access quality education. They will walk to the classroom and find a qualified, trained teacher who is well motivated and properly managed. So I'm sure this is going to be an absolute masterpiece, and I can see the processes if implemented the way it is. Kenya is going to be, our Kenyan education system is going to be exciting. And I'm sure parents will enjoy a lot. Children will enjoy a lot. Teachers will enjoy a lot. And in return, we will have a good economy, a very vibrant economy, where all have equal opportunities in terms of standards of living. We'll uplift the standards of living of everyone. And actually, that's what the social democrats fight for. People must be equal. They must have, an old mama in the village must be able to walk to the supermarket and buy commodities that the wife of the president is able to buy. As well. That is the equality we are talking about. And now is the time to do this. And through Kenya Kwanza, the education charter speaks to it. And this will be the stabilizer of the bottom-up economic model.
All right, before you even go to, I would like us to dig deep, of course, in the document. Before we go there, there's a story on the Standard, and it's about nurses. It says nurses finally get lucrative UK jobs. Only 13 people have qualified to join Britain's NHS, that is National Health Service, in a program agreed on by the two governments despite early announcement that there were over 20,000 opportunities for Kenyans. You remember there was a story about nurses that were going to United Kingdom or the UK.
I think the human resource across the world is becoming limited, especially in the global north and strong economies. Like when you talk of the UK, why are they coming for nurses in Kenya? Yeah, because the numbers are dwindling in those economies. And there are many destinations in the world that requires both skilled and unskilled human resource. And Kenya as a country, we have the most competitive human resource who are well sought all over the world. We've seen in the Middle East that there is now a shift for domestic workers to be imported from Kenya because of English language, and they believe Kenyan people are very good in English and all that sort. But for the UK, of course, that was a partnership to outsource the nurses in Kenya, and it's common practice. The standards of any nation. That is a different jurisdiction. They have their own standards. And because these men and women are going to serve the citizens of the UK, they cannot walk straight to the market and begin working. There must be an assurance. And I think that is why they're being taken through Oxford University. We saw the proficiency test for languages at some point. And now you can see that being taken through the Oxford University, and the number is only 20. I think that's a good beginning. That's to me.
Here's the story.
To me, it is a start as a country, and I think Kenya Kwanza. I am not in the Labour manifesto, but I know this is one item that has come up, that we must strategically place ourselves to export the human resource that we have. There would be nothing wrong with sending more nurses to other jurisdictions. As we train more. We'll be exporting our human capital, resolving unemployment crisis, and also improving on the diaspora earnings. The diaspora earnings are now superseding any other foreign export like coffee, tea, and the rest.
All right, here's the story. So
Tell me the story.
The UK, the UK flooded 20,000 opportunities for nurses. 20,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20,000 opportunities for nurses, for Kenyans to go to work in the UK. All right, 3,000 applied. That's what we were told last time. 3,000 have applied. Now, the last time they told us they have not gone, the reason was they failed in English. They failed the English test, right? So this time we had 3,000 applicants, and we flagged off 13 yesterday. The CS for Health, that is Mutai Kagwe, flagged off 13 nurses to go to the UK. Now, here's the interesting story. We didn't fail in the test for professional nursing or the field of nursing. We didn't fail the test on medicals. We didn't fail the test on lab and all that. We have been told that we failed in the test, English test. So out of 3,000, we only have 13 who passed. Does it speak to our education system?
No, that would be a very wrong tool to use to apply, because
I'm wondering,
before you are
English
trained and you are qualified and you are competent, then you must be linguistically proficient. These are nurses who have qualified. They are working within our health facilities.
Graduates, actually.
They're doing their jobs very well. They are graduates. So I think this issue of language should not be used as an indicator of our wrong education system. It's a very wrong tool to use for comparisons. And if I can appraise you for what you don't know, comparatively internationally, in Africa, the most proficient English speakers are Kenyans in the entire continent. And that is why they are being sought for in the Middle East and the rest. But you know, Britain, this was a colonizer. And those conditions being put, of course, they are setting their own standards and giving their own reasons. But the issue of exams, who administered these exams? What are the types of these tests? Was this oral English or written English? What is it? Was it really the issue of language? I don't think it is anything that we should really bother very much about. And I would rather that matter is left for serious bilateral negotiations between the government of Kenya and that of the UK. If really they need nurses, they don't need nurses to go and speak English and speak any other language. They need nurses to go and practice the healthcare system. But I understand if they're checking about the quotient of ability to communicate with patients, because you see, if you are taking nurses to the UK, they must meet the standards of the UK. And what are these standards that they're telling us that our students our nurses failed in language tests and whatnot? Are they going to for language tests, or they are going for employment? So really, I would not like us to bother so much and disturb ourselves. Even if there are 2 opportunities that have arisen in the UK and 2 citizens have been taken, that is a start. And you know, you cannot, when you are starting a program, you cannot roll out massively. You do it gradually. So maybe you take 20 nurses and then they see how they're working.
Look for an excuse for not taking the rest.
No, it's not an excuse. It's what we call due diligence. Even if it were you, you would not just open the gates of a country and invite everyone. That is what we call due diligence. So get the few nurses, deploy them, get them to work, and then you have a report. It's what we call piloting. When you're undertaking a massive program, you don't roll out instantly. You pilot. So if they've taken maybe 20 nurses, to me, from my own experience of rolling out programs of that nature, that could be a pilot group. You will see how they're working, efficiency, and then they will collect the report. If they're impressed, then I'm sure the UK will come for more nurses. Okay.
All right, coming back to the education system as it is, I would like to know, what do you think, in your own opinion, is the state of the education system as you speak right now, tukikaa hivi? What is the state of the education system?
Yeah, our education system in Kenya, number one, we have had one of the strongest education systems. Kenya has mounted one of the most competitive education system in the world with very good outcomes. I'm saying this because when you look at global comparators, what we call global competitiveness, Kenya has been number one. It has been on top of the charts for a long time.
In terms of competitiveness?
Yes, but in terms of quality and access. But when these reforms were brought in by Jubilee from 2013, what I would call ragtag reforms that are disorderly, that are not organized, which Kenya Kwanza is seeking to package them properly. We are now at number 7 on the charts. When you look at our teachers all over the world, they are winning global awards. In fact, the top teachers, Teacher of the Year globally, you remember Father Tapiji from Nakuru, and several others have been winning awards in the AU. That tells us we have the best lot of teachers, and we have the potentiality to deliver the best education in this country. But we have faced one tragic, we have engaged in one tragic mistake. Keep interfering with the structure of education. When you interfere with the education structure, it causes a lot of inconveniences. It brings it invites a lot of costs that the government cannot sustain. And you shook the delivery model. You can always review and revise the content of the curriculum without necessarily tampering with the structure. That is when you can move far. But you see, we changed in 1984 from 7423 structure. That was not the system, it was structure, to 844. And then now, for reasons that are not explained and that are not understood, we changed the structure again to 2663. And this is a quagmire where we are. And it's bringing a lot of inconveniences, a lot of challenges. And we've changed our curriculum from knowledge-based almost absolutely to competency-based. If you want to bring in a new curriculum, you cannot get rid of what you have. So this was a big mistake. You cannot get rid of knowledge. A new curriculum will ride on the existing one. So really, it was all about customizing the 21st century skills, the competencies, skills, and values. That really was the aspect that needed to be integrated within our education system. And many countries that customized the 21st century skills did it without changing the structure. So they've had very stable education systems, no cost, and it's cost effective. But we were over ambitious here in Kenya because the business interest wanted us to disrupt our education system so that the public schools can collapse. And once the public schools collapse, the floodgates would be opened for privatization. It's a new form of business that World Bank estimates it at over $7 trillion. And when you kill public schools in Kenya, because as it is currently, CBC as it is, if nothing is done, then it will grind to a halt and we'll have the public schools collapsing. You have seen Professor Magoa telling private schools in urban centers to open up classes for junior secondary. Why do you think so? That is opening a window for business. But I think the model that we have from Kenya Kwanza is going to resolve all these issues. Within 100 days, we shall have formatted the direction of education, and it's very easy to reorganize. And I'm sure we will live back to be number one in the continent and probably in the world. That will be a competitive country. And when you look at our graduates of we have a very strong knowledge-based education system. Kabisa, absolutely. Very comparable in the world. And to the extent that our graduates from our school system who are admitted to Ivy League universities and other universities in the world complete their studies early, and they score top grades. Most of them score first class. And therefore, this is an indicator that we've had and we've retained a very strong knowledge-based education system. And that is why when we were doing this analysis as Kenya Kwanza, we said, no, it was a mistake to try and get rid of the knowledge-based education system. We must retain it. That has been our global strength. And on it, it is only reasonable and fair as required by UNESCO every 5 years in reviewing a curriculum. We integrate the competencies of the 21st century and the skills and value-based education. And that's the model that we are developing, we are looking at as Kenya Kwanza. And we think that framework will work very well. It's going to be very easy for teachers now. They don't need to bother themselves anymore. They will be able to teach. The competencies and skills will be integrated gradually as learners move up the ladder towards Form 4. And when we review the structure, it may be necessary to look at a structure that is not going to shock the sector to demand huge resources in terms of infrastructure and other things. It shall have to be reasoned out so that it is reasonable and all these curriculum changes do not invite any cost. There is what we call economics of education, ensuring that we give, because resources are scarce and we have an economy that is fragile, that may not outrightly fund a fully robust CBC system or an expensive education system. So we'll have to reconfigure the structure to become economically sustainable. If we say, for example, children can learn up to 7 years in primary, then we shall have reduced at least 1 year in secondary education and essentially reduced the cost of education in secondary schools. And that is going to help a lot. And we look at ways of ensuring that most of our schools also are day schools, so that you leverage on the cost of education. So generally, that's the background of our education system in Kenya. It's competitive. It has been competitive. But these reforms have been ragtag, disorganized, and this is what we want to package and correct and sanitize within the first 100 days. It's contained in the charter, and I am sure I've seen teachers are excited in reading the charter, and they're very optimistic that we'll have an orderly sector, a clean sector, that they can work comfortably, peacefully, and deliver very well. And we'll have a sector with this Kenya Kwanza charter. We'll have a sector where learners are very happy. They will access school and access quality teaching, and they will have no limitations whatsoever as to cost. They will be able to study all through from early childhood up to tertiary level, whether TVETs and colleges and universities. And university students will also be able to study. The universities will be properly funded, and we've reconfigured the university funding so that the current mess that we have, where universities are stranded and some are even almost closing down, is addressed.
All right.
And even universities within the charter, is that not even just universities, the research sector, because what drives economy, what drives innovation and technology is research.
Yes.
Kenya Kwanza is committing at least 2% of the GDP to research.
Wow.
So that and Kenya, we've undertaken a lot of research. You look at coffee, we have the best coffee in the world. You see research we have in tea, research in different areas, even chemistry. And you cannot develop a country without research. And we want universities to take the lead in not only teaching and community development, but also in research and innovation. And that connects well with the bottom-up economic model.
All right. I'm just looking at the charter, and there seems to be a raft of proposals that have been done. I'm seeing almost 16 of them per sector. Should be per unit. Okay. Maybe you can just take us through the charter.
Now, if I can take you through the charter.
Point by point.
The charter, what really it means is a commitment. Commitment of undertaking within the existing framework of laws or policies, or commitment to introduce new policies to make a system better. And we've subdivided our charter into a number of sections, and we looked at number one, access to quality and equitable education. That is well within the SDG, the UNESCO. We must put in place measures and policies to ensure access, general access, by everyone, by all boys and girls, access to early childhood of good quality, access to primary education, where quality education is delivered, is being delivered, and the baseline here is the public education. That is where it begins, and access to secondary education and access to university education, TVETs and the rest. And that access, it is not just access of walking into learning institution. It must be of good quality. So I think that overarching demand is important that we understand. So we don't just want to run an education system. We run an education system that all can access and of good quality and equitable. That means you get it anywhere. If you are in Garissa, you can get. If you're in Modogashe, the children in Modogashe will access quality education. Equitable. So the rule of equity brings justice and to all the households in Kenya. So if you look at that section, it talks about quite a number of issues that we shall ensure that all children have access to equitable quality and free, paid for by the state, as decreed by Article 53 of the Constitution.
Free education.
Meaning Kenya Kwanza government will continue funding education very, very effectively. We'll also take affirmative action to bridge the gap in access to education in disadvantaged counties, and towards this end, provide bursaries and scholarship to residents of northeastern counties to pursue education training and to enhance benefits and hardship allowances for teachers who serve in those particular regions. So this, we are trying to encourage those ASAL regions to have their own teachers, and we shall incentivize so that their own sons and daughters choose teaching and train in teaching, and they will be incentivized through bursaries so that the problem of teacher shortage can be solved once and for all. As we have seen in northeastern Kenya today, TSC has advertised vacancies for 1,080 teachers in those areas. And you can be very sure the teachers who will be recruited and employed do not come from those residential areas. So as going into the future, the local teachers in those particular regions will be trained, and all other ASAL areas, so that every community will have their own teachers. You know, this is a global requirement that all communities must have their own teachers. Even what you call mobile pastoralists, those herding camels, we've developed what we call mobile schools. Within the clans, there must be teachers, so that as they move around, those teachers within the clans will be teaching the children, because it's families moving, they're all moving.
You're moving with the schools.
So, yes. Okay. So I think this is a very bold decision to ensure that we reach those who cannot be reached, and education can be delivered to them wherever they are. In also those areas, we shall ensure that the local boarding schools are established, so that when the parents are moving in search of pastures, then when we can have children domiciled in boarding schools and they're not affected. And this will solve even issues like what we have in West Pokot, the cattle rustling and the rest. So if we can confine children in learning institutions, we can remove these archaic cultures of cattle rustling and the rest, and we can begin building another generations of very productive citizens within those areas.
So you're going to build more schools?
Yes.
Okay.
So that more schools will have to be built. And in fact, this was a policy right from the 70s, but I think now it will be done. And then in terms of teachers, because teachers is very crucial, and I think I should talk about teacher issues.
Yes.
Because you cannot achieve education without teachers. Sure. Teachers are central and fundamental. And our declaration in Ichon, that was affirmed in UNESCO in 2015, was that teachers are central and fundamental. And all governments must ensure that teachers are properly trained, properly recruited, well supported within well-governed financial systems. And I think this is what we have customized to our report. Number one, teacher deployment and posting. We've agreed that the delocalization of teachers, which has been practiced for the last couple of years, in the name of remove tribalism, shall be abolished. It has been used as a punishment. And this has destroyed teachers, the morale of teachers, and probably that is the reason why the standards have gone down. So this will be abolished. And teachers can only be deployed out of their localities if indeed they do apply, and they will be given incentives. So that it is not a forced program. It will be a program that will be
on a
kind of
basis.
Negotiated. And that is how it is. Even when a teacher, after training, is being deployed, you must be allowed to choose where you want to go and teach. So the democratic right of teachers to choose where to work has been granted. And I think this is a bold decision by the fifth president to protect families of teachers. And teachers should be very, very happy that now they have a president who can listen to them. They have a president who is a staunch Christian and who knows the meaning of family values. And of course, we've said we shall domesticate the UNESCO teacher deployment policy. The domestication means you send teachers to teach within their communities. There are communities where they are culturally connected, linguistically connected, and they can interact and manage the community. That is how it is in UNESCO, unlike what was being practiced, which has disrupted teachers. So by and large, teachers will be more stable under Kenya Kwanza government, and they will be very motivated to teach. Number two, in terms of teachers also, the involvement in policy dialogue will be recognized, and their rights to better terms and conditions of service shall be respected by Kenya Kwanza government as provided in Article 41 of the Constitution. This applies also to university lecturers, the right to collective bargaining agreements, and the fifth president has committed that his government will ensure that collective bargaining agreements are properly negotiated and fully implemented to ensure that there is industrial peace. So you can be very sure in the sector, teachers will be very well taken care of within the economic parameters, and they will be able to negotiate their terms and conditions of service. They will be respected. The rights for unions to exist will be protected. And by extension, what the message is coming out here is that the fifth president, William Samoei Ruto, will respect the trade union movement in general. And let me tell you, trade union movement in Kenya, in all over the world begins with teachers. How you treat teachers' unions, how you treat workers in the teaching, in the education sector will translate to how you treat the rest, because teachers is the biggest workforce. And that indeed is a benchmark. The other thing about teachers, because teachers are key to quality access, is that any form of training, continuous capacity building, which is well within this SDG framework and UNESCO, that all governments must support their teachers through continuous capacity building so that they can deliver better. All these capacity building programs, including teacher professional development, the Kenya Kwanza and the fifth president has committed this will be fully paid for by the state, and the trainings organized and funded by government. This is good news. It's going to offload the current arrangement where Teacher Service Commission has been trying to load on teachers. So generally, teachers are the biggest winners in this arrangement. And then the other aspect is teacher numbers. Teacher numbers. We are currently faced with a shortage of 116,000 teachers in the country. And Kenya Kwanza has been very bold, and you can see there's a signature that this will be breached in 2 financial years. The first year, 58,000 teachers will be employed on permanent and pensionable terms. And then second year, another 58,000 will be brought on board at a cost of 25 billion, at least 25 billion per financial year. I think this is the biggest commitment that any government can do in the world. Honestly, the biggest commitment that a government can do in the world. I'm not aware of any government anywhere in the world that has recruited such a number of teachers in just one of. And this is not just mere pronouncement. The number has been specified, 116,000. The period to do that is within 2 financial years. And the amount to do that is minimum 25B. Once the fifth president is sworn in the month of August, this will be implemented, regardless of whether the budget has been read or not. The supplementary budget, of this country will accommodate these new arrangements within this provision. So that is the aspect of teachers. And then, so generally, you can imagine if this shortage of 116 is breached and a teacher is available in every class, what really will be the quality of our education? The quality will leap forward, particularly those of public schools. And that is in essence in keeping with the overall goal of ensuring that there is equitable quality education. Yeah, the other general aspect is school funding, and cost reduction measures and offloading parents from the cost of education. In all these changes, education must be made free. Number one, there is what we call minimum essential package. Currently, money is wired to schools through capitation based on numbers. There are very many schools with the lowest enrollment. A school may be having 200 learners. And for primary school, for example, you send in 1,400 shillings for 200 learners. That is about 240,000 shillings per year. All that money is meant to employ human resource, pay salaries, buy teaching and learning materials. This cannot work. And that is why there is what we call minimum essential package, equivalent to equalization fund, that is given directly to schools outside capitation to be able to run. You can say, for example, any school with less than 300 learners is entitled to, first of all, outright funding of 1 million per school.
1 million per school.
For example, hypothetically. So minimum essential package is money that is sent directly to schools, particularly schools with low enrollment outside capitation per child, to be able to allow them to operate. And this is good news. It's going to bring all schools to the same level of financial operation, because we are talking about equity and equality and quality. Wiring money based on capitation only brings a lot of inequality. It compromises quality, and eventually such schools don't do very well. So this minimum essential package is so good, and is going to ensure that indirect costs of running schools are not transferred to parents. And this is the best, well thought out way of funding schools.
So in other words, you're
within the
saying
framework.
that the lowest school will receive hypothetically 1 million shillings.
The lowest schools with low enrollment will be protected with
a fund, with a
some
package.
good level of funding that will allow them to operate, to pay salaries for workers and to engage in other activities, that is for schools operations. So this is one commitment from Kenya Kwanza. Then the other one, number 2, is to resolve issues of funding in school, is what we call the special service tariff.
Okay.
The
Special
cost
service
of
tariff.
electricity.
Okay.
Schools are finding it very difficult to pay for electricity, to pay for water, and all these, there will be special service tariff for schools.
Okay.
Schools will pay less in terms of power, in terms of water, so that you reduce the cost of services getting to schools. And in doing this, you are offloading the cost of education from parents, so that we have this business of fees rising because of the cost of electricity, the cost of water can be contained. There is nothing wrong with the government ensuring that electricity and water supply to our children and learning institution is substantially brought down, because these are our children. These are the children. These are the investment and the human resource of the country. So in terms of financing, there are a lot of innovative ways. The other bit, what invites a lot of cost, is school feeding program. And we've said we are going to reconfigure the food, national strategic food reserves, like the cooperative farmers, so that schools can procure foods and other materials from this organization at the lowest cost. And this is going to help to ensure that the fluctuation in the cost of prices for food is maintained downwards throughout the year, to avoid raising the cost of education. This is also going to connect with the bottom-up economic model, because these cooperatives and the national cereals boards will be able to buy grains from farmers. Yeah, the farming community, like the maize farmers, will have their maize collected and distributed all over the country for supply to schools. So we'll have a more orderly way of linking the schools and our farming communities. We talk of the rice farmers, beans, and the rest. So this is going to help in containing the cost of feeding of learners in our schools. We will also ensure that we bring in one strong actor to the center of our education. That is the county government. Because you look at the cost of building classrooms and schools, it's expensive. It cannot be done by national government alone. It cannot be done by parents alone. It cannot be done by the constituency development fund. The county government has been shut out, whereas in many emergencies, it is the most viable option across Kenya, because the interpretation that the county governments are not, in terms of constitution, allowed to finance basic education is the wrong thinking. All over the world, school construction is done by county governments. In fact, it's a mandate of county government. And we've said we are going to engage in wider consultation, engage in wider public participation, and ensure that we work on a legislation that is going to allow county government to finance the building of schools infrastructure and participate. I think this is a bold move, particularly when we are talking about funding county governments at minimum of 35%. So that means we'll be sending a lot of resources to the counties, and we shall allow county governments to participate in building of our schools and schools infrastructure. And And I think that's it's a big step. It's a decision. It's documented. It will be done. Nowhere in the Constitution. The Constitution does not say anywhere that the county government cannot build schools as one of the devolved functions. It doesn't. We only need an enabling legislation so that then our schools will not suffer from lack of funding. We'll expand opportunities. We'll have very good sanitation, very good sanitation facilities put up in schools, very good classrooms, very good learning resources, fields, and all other things, all other necessary infrastructure. If we bring in the county government to come and participate in this. So generally, I think we've proposed a lot of measures to ensure access of quality education. The other area that we are going to, that Kenya Kwanza is going to put a lot of efforts is TVET, to ensure that there are enough teachers, they're preached, and also TVET is also properly managed, and to ensure that we maintain quality within the teaching force. The Kenya Education Management Institute shall also be converted into Kenya School of Education so that we can train the school managers. School leadership is also key. If you pick teachers from the classrooms to merely lead a school without capacity building, it would be wrong. And this is one area we've considered that the school managers must of necessity be trained. And then now, the elephant in the room, CBC, the curriculum. What are we going to do about it? And we've seen there have been a lot of arguments.
To yes.
Yeah, there have been a lot of arguments that, Kenya Kwanza is saying we scrap. Of course, that was sustained. The feeling, first of all, what we did was to analyze the challenges of CBC. And indeed, there are problems, huge ones. As Secretary General Nat, I pointed out a lot of gaps and I threw a lot of caution.
Yes.
And Kenya Kwanza appreciates that CBC has challenges, huge ones. But we cannot use the word scrap. There is no education system in the world that is scrapped. You don't scrap. And even when you change an education system, you don't interfere with the right of learners who are progressing. You can always change an education system without hurting the interest of learners. So when we were discussing this, we looked at the concerns of Kenyans, that the interest of learners should not be affected whatsoever. And then we consulted, how is education reformed all over the world? It is done, it's reviewed every 5 years as guided by UNESCO. Now, since CBC was rolled out 5 years ago, this is now the time to review it. And how are we going to review it as a country? Because CBC is a huge public concern. We are not even going to do it with the stakeholders. And we said we cannot restrict this conversation with the stakeholders. And this one will be done through robust public engagement. Public, because education is a public good. We have to roll this thing out and engage in conversations with the public. And this may require appointment of an education commission chaired by a competent chair, professional, with members, and they will be able to interact with the public and discuss and review CBC together. And if you look at it in the charter, there are two things. Review the curriculum and review the education structure. Those two things, the curriculum and the education structure. And we've committed, and the president himself has committed that he will ensure that our education system has got a strong knowledge base. It will also encompass competencies. It will also encompass skills and values. So what the president has brought back that had been taken away is knowledge. That we must keep protecting our our knowledge base in our education system, which has been very competitive in the world. And then now we can bring in competencies to ride on knowledge. We can bring in skills to ride on knowledge. And we can bring in values to ride on knowledge. And to me, this is the best model that is going to work. And these are the arguments that teachers had. And in fact, when you bring back knowledge, then it means you are not going to train your teachers again. The same teachers will continue teaching the same knowledge-based education system, and competencies will be integrated moving forward. So to me, this is the most radical proposal, and particularly when it is going to involve the public. The public, teachers, and other players, even students, everybody, because this is a public good, will have room to participate and understand the education system. That's the most important thing. Because you cannot roll out, you cannot keep changing education systems without even doing civic education with the public. And what I'm saying in future, in terms of changeover education system, it might even require a referendum. We must comply with Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya, of the principles of governance, of involving the people, public participation. Yes, you don't just change things without involving the people. And before you do that, you must also conduct some bit of civic education to understand what you are up to. So I think the fifth president has guided us properly in terms of ensuring that the curriculum, the issues that have been curriculum, are addressed in an amicable way. So it's going to be so amicable, and the changes that Kenyans will want, they will do it, and probably within 90 days, this work should be over. And once it is over, we are going to have an education structure that is acceptable. Yeah, because, for example, come to think of it, we make secondary education 6 years. It's long, it's expensive for parents. You cannot make Kenyan parents to pay fees for 6 years. And you cannot also make government to pay capitation for 6 years. It's expensive. And that is why we shall have to look at this aspect of the structure of education.
Holistically.
How many years do we want learners to stay in primary school and then in secondary school? But I think that key proposal is good enough. It solves everything. There is no other way. The presidential candidate, and no president anywhere in the world, can come out and pronounce that an education system is abolished. It doesn't work that way. And by looking at this particular process of involving the public, it is one way of removing politics and interest in education. Education must be seriously depoliticized. It must be allowed to work professionally and negotiate with the public. To me, this is going to solve all the problems that we had in CBC without necessarily talking of abolishing. But the learners will not be affected in their progression of teaching and learning. It will take care of their interest, and their interest will be thoroughly protected. In terms of other actions in the basic education.
But even before we go to that, Mheshimiwa, on CBC, because I think a lot of Kenyans have a lot of interest in CBC, what are some of the really foundational changes that are going to come in Kenya Kwanza Charter? What are some of the shakings in the CBC that you think will move? What are some of the pieces that will move within that system of CBC?
I think the most important thing within CBC is restating and reinstating the knowledge-based education system. That's going to solve many things. Yeah, even when 844 was brought in, it was riding on the existing 7423 system. Yeah. So here we are not talking about a structure. If you are bringing in new aspects of a curriculum, you don't remove the existing curriculum. And what happened here is that it's like the existing curriculum was almost removed. The curriculum designs were poorly done. So the entire professional work of reorganizing the curriculum will be revisited. And if you look at the statement of our presidential candidate, they said, yes, we are going to ensure that our education retains strong knowledge base, competencies, skills, and values.
Okay.
So number one thing, the big departure is that we brought back the knowledge-based education system.
Okay.
So that these activities that we are seeing that are shaky, where teachers cannot interpret, they don't know how to teach, CBC, they don't know how to, is removed. All these inconveniences that are transferred to parents is also removed.
Okay.
And then we get back to organized learning, where, of course, when you talk of basic education, it means basic. And basic refers to knowledge. It means at that level of basic, the content of learning is basically knowledge. It is widely knowledge. So you cannot give it another definition. So number one, we are going to strengthen and maintain the knowledge-based education system. And then now we shall seek to integrate the 21st century skills. How do we introduce, at what level, gradually. And also we look at our examination system. Okay. That's another bit. We'll shift from cutthroat exam systems and look at other ways of making assessments, of carrying out tests and assessments on learners. And then the key thing, the structure will have to be relooked at. Okay. That is another key thing that will come out in order to do all this and to ensure that there is seamless transition from primary to secondary. Okay. So that there are no double intakes and jams like what we are going to see in 2023 January. If this is not done, there will be intake to secondary schools from grade 6, intake to secondary schools from grade 8. Okay. That is going to be messy. Can our schools support, even if you build one classroom per secondary school and you are admitting fresh, new 500 learners to Form 1? How is that going to work? All this is going to be reconstituted afresh so that we have a design that allows progression without congestion. So, and this will have to be done within the first 100 days.
Okay. First 100 days.
Yes. So there's a lot of work cut out. And in fact, the first major assignment is to address the challenges of CBC until parents and teachers and the public are satisfied. And the greatest thing is the window of opportunity of public participation. And this will be done within a premise of terms of reference. Whatever team that shall be appointed or given opportunity and authority to do that, what really are the specific areas that they will be addressing. And it has been stated here that it is curriculum and structure. It is here, it is there in the
curriculum
commitment in the charter. Yes, the curriculum and structure must be looked at so that the issues that have come up can be addressed. And in that way, we will place before Kenya, before Kenyans, an education system that is easy to implement, that teachers understand, that parents are comfortable about, that learners are happy, and that which is going to be with Kenyan children with strong knowledge-based education system, that which is going to be with Kenyan children with competencies, that which is going to be with Kenyan children with skills that are measurable, and also that which is going to strengthen values and value systems that we want to inculcate. It is not very difficult to do it. It's so easy. And we've thought through it, and I think we are through with phase 1. The next thing, once the president is sworn in, is to begin preparing. We are preparing for phase 2. Once the president is sworn in, he will be in a position to deliver this within the shortest time and make Kenyans happy with the education system, and ensure that Kenya from then on will run an education system that is competitive in the world. That we can train and export learners to graduates to other markets in the world. Yeah, so I'm sure within this framework, the CBC debacle is sorted out. So this charter, once and for all, sorts out the mess and the disorder and discoordination that existed in the mounting of the new curriculum. So within 100 days, Kenya will have an orderly curriculum and education system that will be born out of public participation, and the public will be more informed about their curriculum. They will understand, and they will be and they will be able to give their views. And I'm so happy that teachers will also be able to teach. They will not require a lot of training like it is at the moment. You see, you cannot remove an education system, bring another one. It can't work. It has not happened anywhere in the world. And I think this was advice that Amina Mohammed gave, but it was largely ignored. But those solutions have been provided by the next president. And then they took a lot of time to understand what it is, so skillfully and so intelligently. And the pronouncement he has made, he understands what it is. And those of us who have been working around it, I am sure we have given the best advice. So this matter of CBC will come to rest within 90 days or within a very short time.
That is from January
of the presidency.
That's from January this year.
The president will be elected on 9th of August. We are not going to wait up to January.
Okay, but 3 months.
It will be done. It will be done immediately because that is one of the most urgent issues. So that as we move forward, we shall have corrected and fixed all the challenges that exist in our education system.
Okay. All right. Now, there's some, let me just look at the comments and some questions.
Now, the other thing, before you go to comments,
yes,
I think I'll gloss over two issues. Other key issues in basic education, other than allocating resources from early childhood to university, it will be funded. That's a commitment that no Kenyan parent will be asked to pay fees. Enough resources will be pumped into education system to protect quality. And then to reduce cost of education at the basic level, we shall encourage our education system to be largely day. And more resources.
Day school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that children can access education from their households.
Is that basic or even secondary?
Basic. Okay. Basic. And we've seen day secondary schools in particular, the most expensive segment of education is secondary schools. Okay. And the presidential candidate has undertaken to deliberately finance development of day schools in terms of infrastructure, in terms of laboratories, and in terms of deployment of teachers.
So that it's equal.
So that the quality of education in any day school in Kenya is extremely competitive and competitive enough. That is going to encourage households to send their children to nearby schools without necessarily thinking of boarding. Boarding is expensive, and gradually this is going to deboard our education system. Why do we have day schools without laboratories, without classrooms, without adequate teachers? Are children attending day schools second-rate or third-rate citizens? We want to make sure that there is equity and equality and quality, and emphasis in investment in day secondary schools is going to resolve the problem of the cost of education, because learners accessing education from their homes reduce education substantially by thousands of shillings, and we shall offload the cost of education from parents. Those are some of the pragmatic changes that have been brought about. And in higher education, additional vocational training centers in every ward. We shall ensure that there are vocational training centers in every ward. Right now, there are about 1,200 already built. There is a balance of 250. It will be built. The greatest area of investment that Kenya Kwanza will do is to invest in vocational in technical education. And we shall also establish and fully equipped technical training institutions in the remaining 52 constituencies. So every constituency must have a TVET. There are now 52 constituencies that do not have TVETs. They will have. The technical university shall also be expanded in terms of numbers. And then we shall also have National Skill and Funding Council. That means we shall collapse the Higher Education Loans Board. We shall collapse the University Funding Board and all other funders so that it's collapsed to one. And when they are collapsed to one, it will be easy to mobilize resources and it becomes a kind of a fundraising kitty. And that's
all the funds in one account.
Yeah. So that all of them are in one stop, one shop stop. So that from this central pool, university students will be able to access funding at almost 100%. Currently, all this funding pulls up to about 56%. The 45% is left to parents. And this is making university education complicated. So we are going to lump all these funds into one and leverage and expand so that the 45% shortage is breached. And when the 45% shortage is breached, it means we are going to free the university students and families from paying for the cost of education. And so these are very pragmatic reforms that has been placed on the table, other than ensuring that the universities are also properly funded and properly managed, and 2% of the GDP goes to research, because we cannot have universities and institutions without conducting research to support the development of the country. So by and large, the Education Charter speaks to the wishes of Kenya. And this answers the challenges that have dogged the education sector for a long time. If you look at the Charter of Kenya Kwanza, it is not general. It is very specific to every sector. And of course, what you are getting in the Charter is just but an executive summary. We've developed huge documents and huge programs for every sector. Now there is the how we are going to do it. And we have developed it here in this charter. So our charter talks about the program to be done, the timeline, and the budget. So we are very specific about it. We have talked about the budget of each program, the timeline, when it will be done,
and what needs to be done.
By what time, and of course, the very specific programs. And if you look at the overall analysis of the charter and the programming and the design of how our education system will be run, it is going to substantially bring down cost and wastage in many areas, so that the resources that are available are directed to specific critical areas where it must give results. And in this design, the child only walks to school from early childhood, and you study all through to the university. Even the internship program, we've emphasized that must be done. We will ensure that the industry, the private sector, the industry collaborates very strongly with the government, so that very, very, very effective internship programs are mounted for all graduates, so that they can get the necessary requisite skills, and after that, these graduates after internship can be outsourced to the market, both locally and internationally. Kenya Kwanza is looking at exporting human resource in numbers, quality human resource. And this is where the internship will come in. We'll have to link it with the international market. We cannot keep Kenyan Kenyan citizens here alone. There are opportunities all over the world, and we must send out our human resource. And that is where the internship will not just exist for internship, it shall be linked to the market. After completing your internship, what next? You move to the local market or international markets. So those are channels that really will be open. So as you can see, the biggest work of Kenya Kwanza, even before we talk of within the bottom-up economic model, creating jobs, supporting businesses, promoting agriculture and healthcare, is education. There's a lot of good work done in education, so that as education develops progressively, the other aspects of the bottom-up economic model will be taking root, because it is critical to create jobs for citizens. And we create jobs for citizens locally and internationally by giving them the right education, and education that makes them competitive and which makes them the best over the rest. If indeed within the knowledge-based education system, we have been doing very well in the world. What of when we reconfigure this education system to bring in competencies, skills, and values in an orderly way? We will be the masters of labor anywhere in the world, and we will be the masters of profession anywhere in the world. And if we talk of technological revolution or putting up industries and factories for manufacturing to create jobs in this country, we'll have the ability. So really, we cannot talk of things without the how. So Kenya Kwanza has the how of doing its things in every sector. And the how in education was our issue. We never wanted, when developing the charter, we did not want a charter without the how. There must be the how, which is a program. What is the timeline, and how much, and who will do it? So really, I think this is the best charter, and I can assure Kenyans that we've done very well. And you have no reason not to vote in Kenya Kwanza and vote in an energetic, intelligent, consultative, hands-on president who understands issues like William Samoei Ruto. I don't see any other candidate who can do this. In 2002, as teachers, Kibaki came with a similar arrangement and similar understanding. But I think this one of William Samoei Ruto is of course 5 or 10 times stronger than that, because we already have a charter with a signature appended. And I would like to tell, yes, once you append a signature and you are elected president, what you have promised will be done. And that is why I think the clarion call of the alliance is Kenya Kwanza. It's Kenyans speaking what they want to do, and the president has committed and has signed. So I would like to tell Kenyans that we are poised for a wonderful and exciting education program for the next couple of years upon election of William Samoei Ruto as the president, because of this charter and because of the commitment that has been made through the signature. You bring any other education agenda from any other presidential candidate, it is not even 20% of the education charter of Kenya Kwanza.
Okay. All right. So I'll ask you this much before I go with the questions. Of course, you've been interacting with teachers. You are the comrade. What do they have to say about the charter? Have they been able to look at it? Teachers, the teaching fraternity?
This is a very sensational document that teachers, when teachers are very happy that they will be recognized and supported by the government. That is a very great incentive before you look at other things. Government will recognize you in policy dialogue. They will support you. They will consult you. And the CBAs will be negotiated and implemented within the time frame. That is what teachers want. If from the commitment, teachers will be respected. The word respect. I think that is key. And they're happy about it. I'm sure. If there is any teacher who is not happy with this charter, then I don't think those are serious teachers. Of course, there will be those who will have, a few will have other issues, but I think from what I've seen, when we were launching the charter, teachers spoke teachers spoke when we were launching the charter. And by the way, this charter was not born out of the blues. It was born out of consultations. And it contains largely the proposals of the teachers of Kenya. They've brought their proposals in writing, in documents, and they've been captured. Tell me why they will not be happy. Abolition of delocalization, which was a punishment, deployment of teachers in line with UNESCO, which is an international practice, and that is what teachers wanted. Removal of cost on teachers in service courses or teacher training programs to be borne by government. That is a great incentive. Employment of 116,000 teachers at the rate of 25 billion at least by financial year, in 2 financial years. When there are more teachers in the classroom, it means the workload of the existing teachers is lessened. And teachers will have more time for preparation. And when teachers have more time for preparation, they will mount quality teaching. That is what it means. It means the current teachers are overworked. So I'm sure the current teachers in the classroom are very happy that the workload will be reduced. And when the workload is lessened, teachers will take more time preparing quality lessons and do more teaching. So really, I am sure this charter we've shared with some of our international partners, and they're so excited. They've given it a thumbs up. So this is not just a local. It is not a local charter.
It is even international.
Yes, it's international. Teachers internationally are getting excited about the conversation of education in our elections here in Kenya. And I'm so excited that
as a teacher,
we've had an opportunity. There is an alliance here that has taken time to consult teachers. And there's an alliance here. There is a presidential candidate who has opted to customize all the international practices to the education sector. So I'm sure teachers are indeed very, very happy. They should be.
Are you a teacher, and have you read the Kenya Kwanza Education Charter? Have you listened to Mheshimiwa Honorable Wilson Sossion this morning? Are you happy? Are you excited about the charter, as he has said? You said that even international teachers are very excited about this charter. I don't know. Have you looked at it? You've listened to a conversation this morning. The proposals that have been made therein, and also reforming the CBC system, education system, and also adding value, much more value on the education, on the proposals that have been made, and also the education sector as it is. Value to teachers, value to students, and talking about as well localizing education. They're saying we'll build more local schools so that children at home can just go to any school. They walk in, wanakuja jioni, wanakaa nyumbani. That's some of the things that we're speaking about this morning, that is localizing and devolving education to down to the level of wewe mwananchi. All right, so let me know what you think about it. Meanwhile, Martin Anami says these short terms where parents can't tell what year or term their kids are in school as a response to COVID, was it really necessary or urgent? It's like parents are paying fees every month. What do you think?
Yes,
was it necessary?
And that is why we've worked on this charter, a strategy of completely stopping parents from paying fees. If you look at the whole framework, it eliminates, but when you look at the minimum essential package, minimum essential package brings in enough money to a school to be able to run for a whole year. So there will be no reason. You cannot talk of, since students are 100, then you have to transfer the cost to parents. No, that will not work. It will not arise. There will be no reason. You will have, the school will have received a minimum essential package from government. So there will be no reason whatsoever to ask parents to pay any fees. As for teachers, we know, we are aware, the 116,000 shortage of teachers. This is a cost that is transferred to parents currently in terms of levies. This is going to be zero. Once government employs 116,000 teachers, what reason will a school have to levy parents to employ any teacher? So all that cost will be offloaded from parents.
All right.
So all this entire charter is about removing completely.
So no COVID will affect us again.
Yeah, so the work of parents, pay fees, pay taxes, and your child goes to school. The work of the parent within bottom-up economic model, go and work, tafuta kasi.
Sawa watoto na utafuta kazi.
Yes, tafuta kazi, fanya. Na ulipe taxes, mtoto anaenda shule. That is the kind of social equality we are talking about. That you wake up in your home state, you are able to work, you get job, you have a job to do, either in a factory, in a setting, in a building. You have money in your pocket, spend the money, pay taxes, and your child is educated through your taxes. And that is why we are removing all this. At least for the first time since independence, we cannot play around and leave the economy in the hands of rich people and in the hands of government. We want to remove the economy that is under capture and transfer it to the people. And so one aspect, one area is removing all the cost in education through all this complete rearrangement. And you see, when you look at the tariffs, electricity and water, unateremsha. And that,
for schools?
Yes. And even internet connectivity. All schools will be connected to internet through this tariff arrangement. It will be connected to internet. And the ICT integration will take off automatically. If schools have computer labs with desktops, it will be connected to internet. If schools can build cyber centers for students to serve and to use, it will be connected to internet. So the internet connectivity tariffs will be lowered. Electricity tariffs will be lowered. Water tariffs will be lowered. So and that is important. And when it is lowered, it means the government has actually subsidized. Those are strategic management measures that is going to make schools work. We want to run an education system where no parent is required to pay. Or not just parent, no child is required to pay any cent. And you look at the feeding program, it's going to be intensified, it's going to be doubled, and the strategic reserves will be critical points of procuring feeds for students in school. So really, we've worked very innovatively and creatively around this agenda. And a lot of men, professionals, worked on this agenda for the last 4 months. So we've not been sleeping. Men and women have worked, and we have what we think is best for this country.
All right. We have someone on call. I'll request you to have your headphones on so that we can listen to this gentleman from diaspora. The headphones are here. Maybe we can help. Usaidia mheshimiwa na kalamu na karatasi. All right. Jambo. You can have your headphones on, please.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Bito.
Who am I speaking to, please?
My name is Susan, and I'd like to say hello to Sossion. Sossion was my colleague during teaching practice at Nakuru High School, so just a big to him. I am a teacher in the UK, and I would like to just, ask him a few questions regarding the model that is proposed. The first question is about localization of education. We find that parents spend a lot of money, sending their students to schools far away. For example, maybe a parent in Nyeri would send a child to Nairobi, or a parent in Mombasa sending a child to Kisumu. I find that localizing education is very, very important, because the parents within the locality become stakeholders in the schools in their locality. So they're very concerned about what's going on in the school. They know the teachers, they know the head teachers. They then can, look at how the schools are managed. And I find that in the UK, we have what we call catchment area. Each school catchment area, and you cannot send a child outside that catchment area, which is where you live. And I think that would be very, very important, especially for primary schools, day primary schools, where if you live in an area, then you have to send a child to the local school. That way, parents will be stakeholders, and I think that they will help to develop this school. And the next one is on the issue of ICT in schools. We find that the rolling out of ICT hasn't been 100% effective in the last.
Hello, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You disappeared a bit, but I can hear you now. You're talking about ICT. You're saying that rolling out of ICT has not been at the best level.
Yeah, so I find that there are a lot of computer companies that are willing to partner with schools, especially in developing countries. And all what you find those companies work with a few schools in Kenya, but those links are not available. And if the government can utilize the diaspora to find those connections and those things, I think that would be very helpful, especially when it comes to ICT. Those can help to, look for funding, look for people who can support some of these local schools. So those are my questions today, and big up to Sossion and tell him he's doing a very good job. I wish him all the best in the future, and I hope to see him in government in the next.
He's right here. You can speak. You can speak
and
to him.
Thank you for mentoring me at Nakuru High School. You said you are who?
No, I'm Susan. I was also doing my teaching practice. We were all in
yeah, we are doing that. That was Susan who?
Kimani. I was doing both biology. You were doing agriculture.
Oh yes. It's a pleasure listening to you, and I think this aspect of the catchment, we've talked of the UK experience, and as a country, we have over-relied on boarding, and we are even boarding children in primary schools for commercial reasons, and this has disorganized our education system. And I believe the direction we are taking as Kenya Kwanza to preserve quality in day schools is going to create a pullback for retention of learners within their localities. And we've said we're going to strengthen day secondary schools to guarantee access to quality education and reduce the cost of education. And currently, from our statistics, 72% of learners in secondary schools are in day schools, while we only have 28% in boarding. It is possible that we can make a leap forward by strengthening the quality of education within localities. We must have quality early childhood centers. We must have quality primary schools, and we must have quality secondary schools, so that the parents will have no reason to try and look for boarding schools. And in the long run, we are localizing education and giving and making children also to think globally. We will want them to act locally and be global citizens from where they are. I'm happy to hear your UK experience. Now, in terms of diaspora support, we have recommended establishment of what you call National Elimu Fund that will be mandated with regulating, mobilizing, dispersing, and managing all education grants, bursaries, scholarships, and all other education support. So this arrangement, even the diaspora can step in and do what and give the necessary support within an organized framework. Would like the IT, the way it was introduced in terms of the laptops, was not right. Teachers were not trained, and the school infrastructure framework, the rooms, the computer labs were not also properly mapped out. But we know the first thing, once we give internet connectivity to every school, the rest will fall in place in terms of getting the hardwares, the computer hardwares. But it will be important within the framework in terms of ICT integration that we let every school have a computer lab and probably a general cyber center for general use by students. So that then we encourage everybody, we encourage learners to be savvy with IT. And maybe...
One last thing I wanted to add.
Yes.
Is that it's very important, with the problems with teenage pregnancies that, we have seen in the last few years.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important that every school has a physical register of every child. Not every school, every county has a physical address of every child who should be in education. And every responsibility will be, if a child is not in school for 2 days, the school has to make contact with the parents. And that follow-up will make sure that no child disappears, no child gets lost in the system. And therefore, because parents will know that schools are going to be checking on them, there will be no cases of children being going to do menu jobs or children hiding in boyfriends' houses for days before even any. So I think that kind of safeguarding for the child is very, very important, where there is a physical register, and if a child is absent for the second.
I think it is in the charter, though I didn't mention, but it's good I mentioned other interventions to ensure that gender issues are well protected and our girls are protected, that we shall ensure that all school-going girls in primary and secondary schools are mandatorily provided with free sanitary towels. I think that's a key thing. And then number two, we will also enforce 100% return to school policy for all teenage mothers, meaning we shall have data in all this, and we shall know, and we shall enforce all the return to school policy by all teenage mothers, and ensure that automatically they benefit from existing government bursary initiatives. Because from our data, it indicates that sometimes if you want to bring them back to schools, parents decline to pay and they face different barriers, social barriers in the society. So it's mandatory that we'll bring back these girls and ensure that their fees is fully paid and they're retained in schools. Yeah, because whichever way, we will have 1 or 2 pregnancies occurring. It does happen. And we'll need all the girls back to schools. And all the girls must complete their education. And once we mount an exciting school system that is well managed, then I'm sure these cases of dropouts will also be handled. It is also important, I state very clearly, that even learners with disability, we have a policy on the same, that we shall develop a framework on multidisciplinary approach to assess, place, and support learners with special needs and disabilities, and promote attitude change towards them. And learners with disabilities will enjoy double capitation so that they are fully supported when they are in school. So these are special intervention measures, and I'm happy you've touched on the aspect of the girl child, and that has prompted me to talk about what we are saying about learners with disabilities. They will all be in school so that we really fulfill the United Nations commitment of delivering equitable, quality education for all.
Yeah. And finally, before I go, there is something we call value education here in the UK, where
yes, come again.
Every school has to have certain values that are taught throughout the curriculum. For example, values of respect, values of citizenship. It is part of the school fabric that right from the time the child enters, the child knows that this school's values are 1, 2, 3. And throughout their education, they have to live through those values in that school. They have to demonstrate how they use the values at home, in the community. And I think if these values are being taught and being, used every day, the issue of all these riots in schools, all these, things that we've seen happening in schools could be, scaled down, because at the moment, there is a lot that's going on in schools, and there isn't anything that is in the curriculum that is being implemented to look into these kind of issues where children are coming from broken homes, but then the schools are not putting in the values that these children need to have. So maybe the curriculum needs to have the value education in the curriculum, so that can help to build the child right from the start in nursery school all the way to university. They are taught these values throughout the curriculum. And when the inspectors go to inspect the school, the first thing they need to look into is how the school is doing the value curriculum, because that's the key aspect of building a child.
Yeah, thank you for that observation, and also underscoring the value-based education. And if I can refresh the recommendation of the president, that in reviewing the curriculum and engaging the public robustly, the knowledge-based education system, we will seek to retain a strong knowledge-based education system, complete with competencies, skills, and values. So values is key. It's a great focus, and we've seen students banning schools and engaging in drugs. And I imagine how it will be with a presidential candidate who is also proposing to legalize bang. You've heard of Wachakoya and those type of other things. So I agree very strongly. We will need to train our students and implant great values of self-responsibility, citizenship, respect, patriotism, and peace. And we'll want to produce global citizens as provided for in target number 7 of Sustainable Development Agenda Goal number 4, because it seeks to ensure that our education systems in our respective countries are able to produce global citizens who espouses the values of peace, responsibility, creativity, innovation, and are able to be useful citizens in the society. I can't agree more with you, and that is one aspect that the churches have been pushing in Kenya, and we shall continue pushing them. We have a presidential candidate who is a devout Christian, and as a devout Christian, I'm sure in him values are key, and all of us believe in these values, and therefore I can assure you, if you go through the charter, you will see in the first part, item number 15, you talk of 21st century skills, competencies, and value-based education. So that has been captured, and as we begin reviewing our education system, we'll also want our people in the diaspora to participate. I will really be very glad to see people in the diaspora participate in the review of our curriculum.
Yeah, if you open up an invitation, we can all...
That will be opened because we will be exporting our human resource to the diaspora, and the experience and values of the diaspora will be key. And even here, there will be a ministry of diaspora, a standalone ministry of diaspora, because the diaspora
That would be
is going to be the key target of Kenya Kwanza.
well done, well done. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and we just hope you for all the best. We want UDA government next, Kenya Kwanza government in August, so that we can move things forward, especially for our young children who are, at the heart of everything.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
well.
I'll share your number. I'll share your number with Mheshimiwa Sossion so that you can have a conversation more on how well you can edify the proposal that I've made, and you can also critique the proposal that I've made.
Yes,
as
yes.
well. Since clearly you have a background.
It's not a final document. It's not a Bible. It's up for
Thank you so much, ma'am,
comments.
for calling in. It is a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you. Enjoy your afternoon. Is it morning? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right. Enjoy your time and take care. Caleb, what is it in Finland? Best education system in the world. Children study for 3 hours, and here you wake up at 5 a.m. and meet a 7 years old on the road to school. By the way, that's a crisis. On the roads, when you wake up at 4 a.m., you find kids. They're shivering on the road and waiting. Unashindwa hao watoto wanaenda kusoma nini? They're not going to college. They're going to...
That's why we are going to make our children children. Our children will be children. If it is reporting to school at 8, it is 8. The business of locking up children from 5 a.m. and engaging in rote learning will just have to end. Our education system will be an education system, and we shall be borrowing from the philosophy of democracy and education. Let a child be.
A child.
Don't force a child into a learning. Mount a learning system that is going to impart serious values. That is what we call affective. It's basically what goes on. And that is why we need the presence of strong, well-motivated, and well-supported teachers in the classroom. And that is why William Ruto has accepted that bridging the gap of 116 is not an option. 116,000 is not an option. It is not negotiable. He's going to put money and ensure that teachers are in the classrooms. And if teachers are in the classrooms with a curriculum that is properly planned and implemented in the right manner, then we'll not need to force learners to be in school for long hours. We will have to balance our curriculum. We must have a balanced curriculum that allows learners to acquire sufficient knowledge, that allows learners to acquire competencies, that allows learners also to acquire certain skills in their life, and that which allows learners to build values. So a school setting will be able to give, to grant a learner all those aspects throughout the day. So it cannot just be books, and books throughout. Children have to play. Children have to engage in innovative activities. Children have to socialize.
It has to be balanced.
Children have to relate. We must have a balanced curriculum that is going to ensure that knowledge acquisition goes on within the given time. Why are we forcing learners to be in schools early enough when they're supposed to be waking up comfortably at home, walk to school? And that's why we are saying we want quality schools near every home, so that learners walk and back. You walk to ECD and back, walk to primary and back, walk to your secondary school and back. And education that you acquire is of good quality, and you go to school at that time that is stipulated by the curriculum. Our Kenyan curriculum starts at 8. Tell me, which is this curriculum that starts before 8?
At 5 a.m.
That is we are going to do away and ensure that quality teaching goes on in all schools between 8 and 5
p.m.
And all children are happy, and teachers are happy, and parents are happy. That's what we are looking for. There must be happiness in it.
Within the education sector.
So we must design it so that people are happy and they acquire knowledge and they are competitive.
To be happy land.
Yeah, we cannot make a school a stress center. No, school should be a center of happiness, but not a center of stress. We make our schools happy, make our curriculum exciting.
Students happy.
Make students
Teachers happy.
And,
Parents happy.
And that is it. So, and that is why we want to borrow the Nordic education system, what goes on in the Scandinavian countries, Finland, Denmark, and Norway. Yeah, if we are going to build schools and ensure, and we have brought in the county government, we have allowed governors to now build schools. And I'm sure with the strength and the might of resources, they will do a great job. They will really do a very, very great job. We'll have no reasons why schools cannot be built. And with more resources going to the counties, the schools will be built. And this is going to be complemented with the CDF and with the resources from the national government. It will do the same. Communities will take over the responsibilities of building quality schools. You can imagine every nursery school, well built, complete with pipe water, clean, everything. Very nice classrooms. Primary schools, the same, well built, complete with good sanitation, neat toilets, and clean running water. Make a school more exciting than the home. That is the whole agenda of Kenya Kwanza. And you have seen we have made it very simple. Give it to the county government, they will do it. They will build.
They'll run with it.
Yes, we'll see schools being built all over the republic, and focus on quality of day schools, that you can have a music room in a day school, you can have a computer lab in a day school, you can have a home science lab in a day school, you can have foreign languages labs in day schools, you can have any form of education that gives learners values. Tell me why learners cannot do very well. And I can say in terms of performance, because we are picking from the current state of education. In terms of Form 4, students from day schools have begun scoring very well.
Yes.
Very well. And with this commitment of the fifth president, whom I also understand, I'm yet to confirm, that he was a day scholar at Wareng Secondary School.
Yes.
Yeah, from 1 to 4, and scored very well before joining Kapsabet Boys High School for his A-levels.
Yes.
Yeah, no man is limited. No child is limited. And we want to give all children
No
equal.
day school is limited.
Let our children at least for once be happy.
Okay.
And let our teachers for once be happy.
And let the parents
let
as well.
our parents be happy.
Right.
And let the country grow.
happy.
This is the type of model of education that we want to bring. And I'm sure we will be able to catch up with Sweden, Denmark, and Finland. I've been a regular visitor of Denmark myself, and we do a lot of we've been doing a lot of benchmarking with Denmark, and in the East, Singapore and others, and we see the effect in the economy in terms of technology and innovation. Even our universities at the counties, it will have to be linked with the manufacturing sector. That now we are negotiating the bottom-up models of every county. It will be linked to education. If it is livestock industry, livestock courses will be offered in various universities in those counties. And if it is about manufacturing and processing livestock products, those factories will have to be linked to universities so that it benefits from research and technical expertise. So really, we are going to not just have universities, but we are going to have universities that on every day, it is breathing to the life of technology and manufacturing and development in those regions. That is how the world has progressed. I had the privilege of visiting Malaysia, the Technical University of Malaysia. The Technical University of Malaysia, it's assembling laptops and computers, and I've got a very good laptop that I bought from the Technical University of Malaysia, and it's assembled by students, and it has a direct effect on the market. We want to run an education system that even countries within the region will send their children, and you can see we have recommended an open university of Kenya. Once we have an open university, we can admit students from all over, and this is a very good source of revenue. In fact, with this charter and this framework, our education system can leap into a service industry.
Okay.
That students from the neighborhood and from the rest of the world will be coming to Kenya to buy education. So I think this is a masterpiece. I've called it a masterpiece. If you look at my article in the Standard yesterday, I said Kenya Kwanza Education Manifesto is a masterpiece. That speaks to the future of this country. And in fact, this proposal, and I've told you, it has been praised internationally by teachers' unions. They're very excited about this proposal. And they've asked me, are you sure this is going to be implemented? And that is why I'm telling people, when you elect a president, you are not electing not only the person, you are also electing the manifesto. So when we will be voting, we will be voting two things. We'll be voting William Ruto, the person, as a president. And we'll be voting the manifesto itself.
That's an agenda for us.
Yes. Once you are elected, the moment you lift your Bible up and you are sworn in, everything that you have promised the people will become instantly government policy to be implemented. Those aspects that require legislation, there will be legislation.
All right.
Those aspects that require policy formulation, there will be policy formulation.
Okay.
So I can I can assure the parents of Kenya and teachers and the public
that you got them covered.
This charter will become effective on day one when William Ruto shall be sworn in as the president. Because nobody is going to question when teachers will be recruited.
Okay.
In fact, the unions will not need to raise the pressure that they ought to raise.
Maandamano itaisha.
It will just maandamano itaisha.
Solidarity forever will itaisha.
There will be solidarity forever with the public and with the parents and with the children and with the government. Where we are doing things right. Yes.
All right, we are 7 minutes past time.
We'll have a new form of solidarity.
Where everyone is happy.
Yes.
Solidarity of happiness. Solidarity of happiness.
Yes, solidarity of happiness. That is what will prevail.
All right, 7 minutes past time, 7 minutes past 9:30. Saying Caleb Korea education system should be modeled like South Africa one outside our four corners. Nobody knows our institutions. We have accords like Dublin, Washington, and Sydney accord, which Kenya isn't a signatory. Okay, and this is quite a conversation that we can continue to have expansively. Keep Boyd from diaspora from United States of America says, I agree with Mr. Sossion. CBC is so much expensive, and to me, I think we have a lot of school dropout students like the way before the Gibaki because parents can't afford to pay bills and all the CBC garamas. Okay, Kenya Kwanza has elaborate plans far in the key sectors in our country. Sossion has been one of the pillars in education sector. Kenya Kwanza Cabinet Secretary for Education, William Sossion, the deal is sealed, is done and sealed. Gibson, brilliant man speaking. Not sure whether he wants this in the public domain, but Sossion sponsors a few students of his alta mater to a tune of 100K every year. Mwambie tunashukuru sana. Okay. Shukrani zako zinatoka pale. Main says, need more explanation on CBC. I think we've done a lot of explanation on CBC. Mainly because Kenya should tap on resourceful people like Sossion. The education system shouldn't be stressful. All right. I wish I could continue reading in the comments and the questions that you guys have asked, but because of time, we're 8 minutes past time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on. You have a tackle of the day, something called the tackle of the day. Do you have a tackle of the day?
Tackle of the day?
Yes.
Yes. I want to tell all teachers where you are. And I implore on you, read this manifesto and this charter. And can you make sure everyone around you understands it? And can you make sure that every voter votes for Kenya Kwanza? Because you are voting for these items. And vote for William Samoei Ruto. And I think it is fair enough for me to state that because all these will be a mirage if we don't elect the team that has given us this charter and that has given the commitment to undertake. We want a new Kenya and we want to free our economy from state capture and from capture by some rich few individuals who have held the economy hostage for the last 59 years. Now is the time. So freedom is coming on 9th of August to the Republic of Kenya. And all the people at the bottom of the pyramid, Mama Mboga, there will be no maskini anymore. We shall all be the same. Kama ni kununua sukari, kila mtu atanunua.
Kama ni chapati,
kila mtu atanunua. Kama ni kuwa na Christmas na kununulia watoto nguo, kila mtu ataweza kununua. We want a society where everybody has what we call economic and social justice, and we can live decent living. Popote tuliko katika jamhuri, regardless of tribes. So, and I'm happy this time round hamuna ukabila. So let us go out there and ask everybody to vote for William Samoei Ruto. It's not enough to talk about this, but it is enough. It will be more exciting to talk to people, tuachane sasa na siasa mingi, and we let people now know that they have no option, but they vote William Samoei Ruto so that we can free ourselves from these many years of poverty and suffering.
Okay. All right, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure. But clearly, these are conversations that needs to go on. So maybe we need to make more time and continue to amite. And maybe as we move forward as well towards the elections, we need to create a contrast on the different proposals that are being made by the teams or by the political teams that are running for elections. For the tech class, it's been a pleasure having you. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those I didn't read their comments or questions, I want to apologize. And I will pick it up again tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Again, it's been a pleasure having you. Until tomorrow on the Siasa Wednesday. Tupatane pale tusikie mambo ya Kafogo wa Kiambu. Mambo ya Kiambu kidogo ni kama inaendelea kuteleza. So you are having Kabogo tomorrow on the Siasa Wednesday edition as we try to look at the issues that are happening. I just want to remind you, pale Optiven, there is no other place to get better. There is no better way to get access to property than through Optiven Kenya Limited. Optiven Kenya Limited is giving you an array of property offers all the way from like Laikipia and Anyuki. The great oasis at only 349,000 shillings. Pale Malindi, 499,000 Kenya shillings only. Kitengela, we have the Happy Gardens. We have the Victory Gardens, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. I mean, you can never run short of the properties that you can get from Optiven Kenya. We're still giving you the dance challenge. If you can shake your legs, then you can shake your way into half an acre of plot and free of charge. Nusuweka mzima. Unaweza pata free of charge from Optiven if you can take up the dance challenge. Tag your favorite dancers or even tag yourself. Take up video dancing and send it to us. And you never know, you could be the winner of half an acre of plot from Optiven Kenya. Wale watu wapenzi wa country music as well, we still want to remind you that on the 9th of July, almost 2 weeks to go, we're having Sir Elvis in Eldoret on a country tour. It's a country and classics. If you have an amazing car that we're going to classics, please let up on display. And you can still buy your tickets on mtickets.com. Nunua ticket yako advance ticket haraka upesi. Advance ticket is only 1,000 shillings. At the gate it will be 1,500. And VIP 2,000 shillings advance ticket. At the gate will be 2,500 shillings. I mean, why should you wait for you to be charged more at the gate when you can buy it right now at the convenience of your phone? Go to www.mtickets.com. Ununue tiketi yako. It's been a pleasure having you. Until tomorrow, take care and see you. We love you. Bye-bye.